My name is Chantal, and together with Matthew, who is sitting next to me, we work for an organization called Fifth Place, where our mission is to make the world a better place by enabling the how. How to be less stressed, how to be less anxious, how to be less self-critical, how to be more joyful, more grateful, more accepting. We are exploring how Shape of Emotion works, and in the last video, Matthew, you took us through the first 2 steps of Shape of Emotion, the model, tool and process of how we structure, store and represent our inner feeling states, the process that we use in our emotional fitness classes. What are we going to do in this video?
Hi there, thank you Chantal. Well, in this video we're going to explore the 3rd step of Shape of Emotion. But before we do that, I thought it might be useful to quickly recap on what we've learned or explored so far.
Yes, let's. So you have told us that Shape of Emotion can be used to down-regulate or dial down a difficult emotion. It can be used to upregulate or dial up a supportive emotion. It can be used in groups. I don't need to talk about what I'm feeling or how I'm feeling or where I'm feeling or what reason I'm feeling the way that I'm doing. But what I do need to do is I must be able to feel that feeling, because to feel the feeling is the first step of the 4-step process of Shape of Emotion. Step 2, so once I've felt the feeling, step 2 is to find that feeling in or around my body. And around my body, because sometimes emotions can hang around my shoulders like a heavy weight or around my head like a halo. So we hope those that watched our last video took up our challenge and practice feeling a feeling and noticing where in or around your body your feeling showed up. But back to Shape of Emotion as the process. So once I have felt my feeling and I have found it in or around my body, what's the next step?
The next step, step number 3 of Shape of Emotion, is to go inside, meaning to focus inwardly with your eyes closed and observe what your feeling looks like. And I say this with a little bit of a grin, and you'll see why in a moment. At this point, you are in a mindfulness or a meditative state. Remember, we have said that Shape of Emotion is a mindfulness-based process, so this is where the mindfulness component comes in. We invite you, with eyes closed, to go inwards and observe what your emotion looks like.
Yes, right. You've got to be kidding. That's often the question that we get. So, how do I observe what my emotion looks like?
It actually is quite simple, really, and we guide you through the process, especially in an emotional fitness class. Even though I say it is simple, because it might be something that you're doing for the first time, we do encourage a light approach to it. Remember, this isn't something that you have to get right. There's no marks for this. It's not get it right or it doesn't work. You just gently observe, and we guide you through the observation process. And the way we guide you is we offer some characteristics for you to observe, such as color, shape, size, weight, texture, and so on.
But why do you do this? Why can't I just see it for myself?
Well, Shape of Emotion is a skill, and like any skill, as we've said before, the more you practice, the easier it gets, the better you get. So at some point you can. But in the beginning, we guide you through it. And then also just a quick word to these characteristics, meaning a little bit of an explanation about where they come from. They're not new. They go back, way back, all the way back to 350 BCE with Aristotle. He first described characteristics as common sensibles. That is something that all the senses share. And then later on, much later on again in the 1970s, when NLP was being developed, these characteristics were referred to as submodalities. Here at Fifth Place, what we've done is we've just applied characteristics to our feeling states.
So you said we must observe the feeling. Are you talking about visualization? Do I visualize what my feeling should look like?
Okay, that's a very good question, and it's a common question and also a common pitfall. People think that you have to visualize, in other words, you make the shape or you make the color, and it's not the case. Remember, this is an observation, so it's about being mindful and noticing the characteristics as they show up.
So when you say the characteristics of the shape and the shape, are you talking about something like a square or a circle or triangle?
When we use the word shape, as in shape of emotion, we're using it in a very generalized and broad sense. So we mean shape to be any object or form that appears. It could be geometric, it could be two-dimensional, it could be three-dimensional, it could be organic, it could be an object, it could be like mist or water. I, for example, tend to have a lot of geometric shapes like cubes and spheres that show up for me. You, I know, on the other hand, have all kinds of different things. Kites, boats, string, wells. To give you an example, it's a bit like observing a rose bush. If you imagine a rose bush in front of you, you start by noticing the color of the flowers, then the shape of the petals, then perhaps the size of the flowers or the buds, and so on. The characteristics are there. Our job, your job when you do shape of emotion, is just to observe them. There's no judgment, no analysis.
Okay, so I've observed my shape take form. So in this instance, say my shape is a pile of red and grey rocks. They're heavy, they have a rough texture, and I can even smell that sort of rock smell. Is that something?
Yes, the characteristics can also include smell, taste, sound, movement.
And does the shape always have all of the characteristics? I mean, should my shape have all these characteristics whenever I do shape of emotion?
Well, this time the short answer is no. You may have one of the characteristics. You may have some, you may have all. Maybe all you can see, for example, is mist. There's no rule, and it also doesn't matter.
And is it different every time?
Yes. Every instance of the same emotion may show up differently each time you work on it, and each different emotion may also show up differently. Or they could be similar, like the cubes and spheres for me. We have found that there really is no pattern. And this is what is particularly interesting about shape of emotion, is that it actually talks to the individualness or the individuality that we all are. We have unique experiences that we store differently, and we bring our own experience into the process. So our own characteristics show up.
But say I keep on getting piles of rocks when I'm clearing, say, depression, and I keep on getting flowing water when I'm wanting to clear anxiety. Doesn't this mean anything in particular?
You won't always get rocks for your depression or water for your anxiety. And having said that, when I have worked on depression, I didn't have rocks. There's a high probability, and in our experience, we found that there's no pattern. It doesn't stay the same, it doesn't show up the same. And remember, we're trying to get you, or the goal here is to get you out of your head. So we don't encourage any analysis or questioning or judgment of what's showing up. If you want to, you can journal for your own self-awareness and growth, take notes, but there really isn't much to read into the shapes themselves.
Okay, so back to the process. So I have felt a feeling, I have found it in or around my body, I've observed what it looks like by using the characteristics, I have a shape, I can see what it looks like, I know how its weight, its texture, its color. Now what do I do with it?
Okay, well, that's going to be step number 4, and we're going to cover that in the next video. So I just quickly want to recap what we've done so far. When you want to regulate the way you feel using shape of emotion, remember, step number 1, feel that emotion. Step number 2, find it in or around your body. And then as we explored in today's video, step number 3, you observe the characteristics of the feeling. So our challenge to you in this video is continue with the first 2 steps. And then when you have a quiet moment or space, close your eyes and practice observing what your feelings look like. Use the characteristics of color, shape and size. And so until the next time, from me, Matthew, bye for now.
Thank you for spending time with us to find out more about shape of emotion. Here's to making your world a better place by enabling your how. This is Chantal saying bye for now and see you soon.